I'm Glenn McGinnis, and this is Outburst. On the program, do allegations of foreign election interference worry you?
Allegations of foreign interference really bother me. I'm very, very worried about the impact of China.
They've done it for ages.
I think Canadians also a little bit feeling nothing could hurt us.
One of the most worrying concepts is the lack of information regarding what actually foreign election interference is.
But first, as Canada's central bank still predicts an ease to our inflation rate by the end of the year, many Canadians are still feeling the negative effects of a high interest rate and a high inflation rate. While much has been said about sticker shock in grocery stores and retail outlets, Canadians are still shelling out more for everyday items than ever before. We sent out our cameras to ask Canadians if they find any improvement in their finances this year as compared to a year ago. Our question: are you better off financially than a year ago?
I don't believe so. My salary increased, but food has increased more. So I'm not better off than I was last year.
Yes and no. Because a year ago I accidentally had a little extra cash than I was supposed to have, and this year I am facing the repercussions for having that extra cash that I accidentally had.
Yes, I'm better financially than a year ago. Because the thing is, like, a year ago I came in Canada and I was not having a job before, but it took me nearly 2 to 3 months to find a part-time job here. I'm a student here, but now from last 1 year I am working in the same institute. So because of that reason I am financially good as in comparison to last year.
Technically no, because I don't have a job since last July. But I live with my mom still. I'm looking for an apartment this summer. But I got a lot of money saved. So I live off of that right now and do a little bit of tutoring.
Yes, I am, because I'm moving forward and I'm improving in my profession and I'm getting to know things better since I immigrated here in Canada. So I am actually better right now financially than I used to be last year.
Yes. I live in downtown Montreal, and if you be very careful to look where money is, you can actually save money by being more careful. So, in a way, I'm better off financially because I spend less.
Yes, I am. I'm retiring, so I'm starting to use my pension that I work for. So yes, I am a little better financially, yes.
Be financially better off because I'm older and retired. Yes, it takes a bigger chunk out of it, but I certainly can't complain because there's a lot of people worse off than me, so that's where I stand on it.
I would agree.
Yeah.
We're kind of at the same spot in our lives.
Yeah.
I feel about the same. I got a better job this year, but it feels like the prices of things are still going up, so I don't really feel better or worse per se, but yeah, slightly concerned, I guess. Yeah.
Things cost a lot more than it ever has, so you sure have to work a lot harder to get what we've got from even last year compared to this year. So that's my answer on that one.
I don't think really I am. With high inflation, higher taxes, I'm a senior, so I would have to say that I'm not better off financially than I was last year.
Actually, because I'm on a retired fixed income, my income stays the same. Inflation affects it, certainly, so that has an impact on it.
No, I just moved to Vancouver, so my financial situation has gotten worse due to rent.
Can you elaborate on that a bit for me?
Well, I think there's no secret that there's kind of a housing crisis going on in a few major cities in Canada, Vancouver being one of them. I made a choice to move to Vancouver for work, and rent is just, it's really incredibly high. The tax is quite high, and the cost of groceries has increased significantly, and I think that that's something that a lot of Canadians are experiencing is food scarcity, financial insecurity, so I don't think I'm alone in that.
absolutely not better off financially. Why? Because of all the nonsense that they come up with in the House of Commons, like climate change and all these taxes that they're throwing at people. I didn't get a refund this year, and I've been homeless in Ottawa. I've had bed bugs in Ottawa. I've been in like low-income housing, which is horrendous. Ottawa used to be an okay place in the 60s, but not now.
Well, I just had to start another business to help, develop some more financial prosperity for myself. So about the same, I would think, because I did start another business. Yeah.
But you have the hard work to add to it, though.
Yes, longer days, that's for sure.
I would say so, yes. I think I'm working a little bit more often, a little bit more of a stable job, and yeah, less schoolwork as well.
Okay, and you?
I would say yes, somewhat, because last year I had to get some documents to confirm a job. Well, this one, it's like I've had more consistent employment and more hours. Yeah.
You think the economy's improving a little bit, maybe, or?
No, no, it's not. I know what's happening. I think, or what people called like kind of a silent depression, because it's like, well, people are working more hours, they're not necessarily getting paid more, and their money is worth less. So it's like you're doing more effort, but it's like you're burning more fumes.
I don't even know where to start with that. Everything feels more expensive. I think just the price, gas, groceries, bills, like just everything goes up and up. And how do you fight against that? I mean, I'm a public sector worker, so in that respect I am lucky, I'm well remunerated, but I think like overall I feel like there's less money at the end of the day.
Recently, CSIS, Canada's spy agency, singled out China as the most frequent offender when it comes to foreign election meddling in this country. CSIS also accused Pakistan and India of meddling in the last 2 general elections in this country. But India says these allegations are baseless. Former Conservative leader Aaron O'Toole says his party lost about 9 seats in the last federal election thanks to an alleged misinformation campaign allegedly spearheaded by China. So, what kind of feelings do these allegations bring out in you? Our question. Do allegations of foreign election interference worry you?
Foreign election interference is a very worrying concept, especially to the democracy. I say, yeah, and it's not necessarily, I think that there's also a lot of uneducation about what foreign election interference looks like. It isn't, I know when I talk to a lot of people about this, they think it's, oh, they're hacking into our systems, they're changing the votes. But it could just go as far as spreading misinformation online and trying to change people's different viewpoints and opinions through common like social media platforms and through the news. It's not necessarily just hacking in. So I think one of the most worrying concepts is the lack of information regarding what actually foreign election interference is.
Well, the business of foreign interference, I suppose we all should be worried about it, but ultimately, I'm just a citizen, so what will be, will be.
It worries me. I'm not sure that I have an answer to that, but they're not very transparent. A lot of governments are not as transparent about what they're doing in a different country, and I guess not knowing is a little bit frightening.
It does concern me very, very much. It should be the Canadians that should have control over the election than any other foreign affair.
Not really so much. In the scheme of things, there's a lot more foreign interference going on in other countries rather than Canada. So I'm not really too concerned about it. It's not a priority for me. I think it's a lot of political hay that's going on with that right now.
Yes, it does bother me because outside influence on our politics and our Canadian government, it should not be allowed, right? It's just not the right thing to do, and we don't interfere in other governments. I don't think they should be interfering with ours.
Definitely. Because it's possible. With the computer age that we're in, it's very possible to just change the numbers, just like you do with a control on TV. You want a different channel, you just change the channel. It's that simple. If it was counted by hand, that would be another matter, and if it was actually monitored, then I would say, yeah, they got voted in properly, but the way it stands now, it's a joke.
I just think it's important for Canadian democracy that it's Canadians to decide, the direction we want our government to take, the policies we want in place. So, it's people here in the country who should be deciding that, or Canadians abroad.
Foreign interference is always going to worry me. Whether or not it's actually happening here, I don't know.
Yes.
What?
Just another level of corruption to add to an already broken system. It doesn't look good for us, and it honestly doesn't reflect what the people want, like what the people of Canada want, so it's not something I look for.
It is very alarming because we need to protect our democracy. And if these other institutions and these other modes of government are infiltrating our political system, that's significant. China is, they have they're an economic giant in the world. So if they're coming in and influencing our political landscape as well, that's significant. That's dangerous.
No, it doesn't worry me because, China kind of focuses on themselves. I don't think they actually need to do anything to sabotage the West because the West sabotages itself. So it's and I read about the foreign interference. It was what is it? To be honest, the fact that it helped Justin Trudeau get elected, I think maybe it was warranted. If the allegations are true, because I wasn't quite fond of the other candidates, but that's a whole other story.
Does it worry you? Not personally, though I do see a lot of stuff on the news. I hear some stuff from family members and everything, but I'm personally not too worried.
Yes, of course. Any good citizen should be worried by interference from foreign countries in our elections here in Canada, because it will not give us the exact thing that we want. Because people do the best they can in offices when they are duly elected properly and they stand in for the people. So if people get into the office from the back door, of course they won't do the bid of the people, and that's not really fair for the people, and it gets me worried because I won't get the dividends of democracy in Canada.
I think we think, we're safe in Canada, so it could not be that bad. We've been like this for a long time. Our borders are too porous. Whether it is now because of everything is online or whatever, or in defense, but I think Canadians also little bit feeling nothing could hurt us.
A little bit, yeah. I like to have my elections independent, and I don't like foreign countries interfering into it. Although they've done it for ages, and they're going to do it for ages, we have to control it.
A little bit, not too much. I think it's inappropriate that certain politicians are looking outside of the country for support and things like that. I don't think that it's beneficial to Canada.
How many Canadian prime ministers received a knighthood? 4, 7, or 10?
I'm going to say 7.
I'm going to go with 4.
I'll go with 4 as well.
Maybe 4, I'm guessing.
4.
4, I think.
4? 7 jumped out right away, so I'm going to go 7.
It's 7.
Wow.
In total, 7 Canadian prime ministers received a knighthood. They are Sir John A. Macdonald, Sir John Abbott, Sir John Thompson, Sir Mackenzie Bowell, Sir Charles Tupper, Sir Wilfrid Laurier, and Sir Robert Borden, who was the last Prime Minister to receive the honour. The Nickel Resolution, passed by the House of Commons in 1919, established the policy of not granting knighthoods and peerages to Canadians. Today, the Order of Canada has replaced the issuing of knighthoods and is seen as the Canadian equivalent to being knighted in England. Governor General Mary Simon recently held a symposium at Rideau Hall with others telling their stories of hate and harassment online. The whole reason for this symposium was to raise awareness for the growing problem of online abuse. The Governor General herself was not spared from such treatment, as she was targeted as an Indigenous woman soon after she became Canada's vice-regal. While the symposium at Rideau Hall sought to find a solution, we sent our cameras out to ask Canadians what they think could be done to stop this once and for all. Our question: what is the best way to stop online abuse?
The best way to stop online abuse, I think the expansion of third spaces, because the whole thing with people online is that they abuse their anonymity, and it's like, you know, you can have burner phones, you can have false accounts, you can, like, it's easier to fake your identity. But if people kind of rely on the people that they know IRL for a sense of community and, like, socialization and, like, you know, exploring themselves, then I find it's easier to hold people accountable. Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to agree with that statement. I graduated with a communications degree, and that's kind of what I would say as well.
I mean, there's room for legislative response, I think. Making clear who has jurisdiction to deal with things like that, not leaving it exclusively in the hands of social media companies to reply to that. I mean, I think it's very hard for an individual if you see something horrible online about you. I mean, who do you contact if it's, say, Facebook or X or whatever? Do they care? Do they do anything like that? So, I mean, empowering police to deal with it explicitly in some circumstances, but then, I don't know, cutting social media out of our lives to some extent too helps, I think. You know, teaching especially the youth, the younger people, the dangers of, you know, putting things out there, how they can be tricked into putting things out there. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of responsibilities spread all over the place, I think, to address that.
I think that the demographic of people, or like the age of people using the internet and accessing those services, are getting younger and younger and younger. So I think that it's going to be increasingly hard to monitor.
Definitely increasing regulations. I think holding the people that are allowing this to happen, holding them accountable to stricter consequences. I think that's really, really important, and like following through with it.
Well, I think a lot of it is it's like a two-way street, I believe. You know, lots of, you know, personal protection, like not providing your personal information on the internet and not like posting locations or like anything severely revealing about your personal life. Just, you know, having that sort of safety but with yourself. That's, you know, kind of a personal thing you can contribute to that. But I mean, yeah, there's a lot more governmental action that can be taken to kind of ensure the protection of its citizens. There's a lot of bad things that happen through the internet, and I think that there should be more policies regulating kind of the profiles that people create to attract certain things. Like, I mean, obviously there's an intake of data for what people look up. I mean, that should obviously put something on a list and kind of alarm situations, which could then further be taken to action. Like, there's other solutions to these consequences.
I'd say like at first thing you can do, honestly, is just stop looking for it, or not looking for it, but looking at it, and stop, you know, going on the sites just for your own sake, because in the end, like, if people don't see that what they're saying is like making any impact or is doing any bad or good, they're going to like get bored and they're going to stop. And so there's the first thing you can do is just to stop kind of looking at it. Know that like any sort of comments or things that people are saying to you, like, they don't have any sort of credibility or knowledge about your own life, and so there's nothing really you can do about it besides just constantly keep looking at it. That's the only way that you're going to fuel like their fire.
That's a good question, you know, because then you're looking at civil liberties and other matters that automatically come into play there. You know, I mean, obviously our children are our first concern, and that has to be, we have to get some form of policing for that, for the children. Adults, you know, more or less can pick and choose, you know. They have the intelligence, hopefully, to pick intelligent internet, online content and go that way.
I feel like there should be a little bit more government regulation to limit the effects of online abuse, particularly with bullying and censorship on the media, not particularly of everything. Obviously, everyone should have an option to speak their minds and voice their opinions, but in some cases, it's just straight harmful and a risk to public safety, which is why there should be a bit more limitations on social media apps like TikTok and Instagram, where anything can really be posted freely for anyone else to see.
Turn off your phones, like monitor your kids. Like we had children, we monitor them, keep that computer close, and restrict the access and the usage. It's simple. I mean, if you don't have it, you can't abuse it, right?
Well, just restrict access. You know, parents should monitor what the kids do and put a hold onto it, so that they can control what kids are doing, basically.
That's a tough question, because as soon as you're online, people feel like they can do a bit whatever they want and say whatever they want. I feel like if we're talking about that, about like what people say and how hurtful people can be online, I feel like it's a bit hard. And I think on the same subject, like these days it's about TikTok and wanting to, you know, ban it. I personally don't see the use in it. I'm always on TikTok, but I think whether you ban a certain app or another, or try to ban everything, people are gonna be they're always gonna say what they want.
Well, that's a very worrisome thing, especially for kids, for young people that are underage. A lot of problems is out there right now. Abuses of different types, financial abuse. Older persons are also suffering, elderlies. So I feel that government should implement more tracking systems, should improve tracking systems using AI technology to see how they can track down these people that are doing all these abuses online. So I think it's a very good thing to do, yeah.
At a time when Canadians have been watching their spending more than ever, in the recent federal budget, the Liberal government earmarked more than $50 billion in spending to be doled out over the next 5 years. We've all heard suggestions on where the federal government could spend more money, like on defense, education, or healthcare, just to name a few. But where do you think we could cut back on these expenditures? Our question. What do you think the government spends too much money on?
I think that the government may be spending a bit too much money on safe supply and not enough money on rehab and research into how we can help substance users. It really is unfortunate when someone falls to addiction, but there are other methods and there are other methods which are much more therapeutically efficient than the ones which are currently out there, like safe supply. And for example, safe injection sites are a great idea, but how much monitoring is there? And I know there's a lot going on right now with how safe supply is being trafficked and given away. I'm doing a research project right now, and I talked to a few doctors from Victoria, and they said that they've been seeing issues where teenagers are coming in and they are overdosing on safe supply drugs that they had bought from homeless people. So it really is a very concerning issue, and I think the government's spending a bit too much money on that.
Foreign countries, other people's problems. We should be focusing more on what's happening in Canada instead of places like Ukraine, Israel, and places like that. I think we should be focusing more on our homeless people that are around, and the youth have a hard time trying to find jobs right now. You know, and we have a lot of people here, but a lot of the people that are here are unskilled. We need more skilled people, more trades, more skills.
Almost a little bit of everything. If you want my own opinion, you know, they should, especially foreign affairs, we should look after our affairs before we start going abroad and anybody else's affairs.
I think personally they're spending way too much on electric cars and pushing that kind of thing on people right now when we're not ready as a country to adapt and implement it. We haven't even got the proper implementation for it, and they're spending so much money on it. I know they've signed a little bit of a deal with Telsa, the car company, and if they can build a reasonable car, they will, out of the taxpayer pocket, put up service centers, charging stations for them across the country. To me, that's flagrant abuse right now of taxpayer money. They spend too much, their salaries. Government itself, all the institutions need to be trimmed down a bit, in my opinion.
Government is spending too much money on wars and weapons. They should start investing on education and health. I go to hospital, I wait 8 hours for doctors. So government should start spending on public and citizens. And this would make people fully resourceful in hospitals. The doctors and nurses are not available in hospital, so we have to wait long line. They have to spend mostly on health and education.
No, but healthcare, I mean, it's really it's really poorly managed. I was in a foreign country a week ago. My girlfriend was able to see a doctor in 1 hour. We had the prescription in 2, and we were at the pharmacy 3 hours after. It was all done. It was a foreign country, and we're spending way more. I think we are on the G7. We are the country that spend the most on welfare, on healthcare. Sorry, and we have the least accessible doctors in the G7. So obviously, we're not doing very well.
The army, just like wars in general, and it's been a big issue too with Palestine, and the government like putting money into that. I think for that, we don't need it. Like, there's no need for war. There's no need to put so much money to that, into like even the police, I think. Just at some point, put more money into like social workers and stuff. That's what we need in schools too, like students who need more help, like who have ADHD and issues like that. Like, they need more help.
These vehicles of corruption that are being used today, I think they can scale back investing in programs and projects that aren't delivering on what they're promised to deliver.
Are you talking about ArriveCan, for example?
Yes, that would be a really good example that everyone's talking about today.
Okay, so from what I understand and what I've been seeing, they just actually haven't been spending too much money on anything. They just haven't been spending. It's mostly been internally shifted around, particularly, not to call names, but our premier, particularly with him, where they've just kind of kept the money amongst themselves and their party and their political donators. So I would say the issue is that they aren't spending money at all, and not that they're spending too much money in one sector.
Thanks for watching this episode of Outburst on CPAC. If you have any comments about this show or any other show, you can find us on social media. You can also find us on our website at www.cpac.ca. I'm Glenn McGuinness, and on behalf of my colleagues at the Cable Public Affairs Channel, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.